And
time to
so,
cut it. I'm good.
so not chasing money. You have a great analogy about like those game shows where the money's blowing.
Yeah, like when you get into a wind tunnel where like they put you in there, you're standing there and they're all reaching, right? They don't catch shit. The ones that do this just stand there and open their shirt, man, they
Right.
come out bloated with money.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah. So I mentioned bars. You got some bars, and I want you to tell me like what these mean to you. You say I have a servant's heart, but not a less than mindset. That's a bar right there.
Is that a bar? I don't know what a
That's a
bar
bar.
is. What's a bar? Is that like a bumper sticker?
That's hip hop, Milo. That's
Okay.
bars. Bars. When you got bars, you can
Okay, so I
freestyle.
got
That's
okay, so that's
bars.
like a rap. I got a line.
No, I don't want to call it a line. It's
But it's a
not a
bar.
line
Okay,
because
it's a
it's coming
bar.
from the
Listen,
heart.
as the kids say, I got Riz now, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, yes, exactly. So talk to me about that. I have a severance heart, but not a less than mindset.
Listen, I believe in doing, listen, we're all raised this way from a very young age. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's the golden rule. And for me, I am happy to do for others, to serve, to nurture, to give, to care for, but not at the sacrifice of who I am, not to the sacrifice or detriment of respect. It's not happening. The biggest trigger for me is disrespect. You raise your voice to me. I'm not mad that you raised your voice. I'm mad that you were disrespectful.
Right. Which brings me to another bar. Not all money is good money.
Listen, I'm ready to fire a client today.
Yeah, and is it disrespect or not listening? That's one of my pet peeves. If I'm because I'm really big on education, and if I'm trying to explain something to you and you're not being coachable, that's one that kind of makes me crazy.
Yeah, listen, if you're not listening to me, you don't respect me because you don't, what I'm saying has no value, right?
Yeah,
Respect is literally the umbrella for every bad behavior in
yeah,
my book.
yeah, yeah.
So for me, not all money is good money. It's not that they're not listening. Sometimes it's they're in charge. If you're licensed, listen, I'm not an LOA. I'm already the wrong person for you.
Yeah.
But since you're not licensed
Right,
and you're not on my payroll,
right, right.
I don't have time to clash with people. At the end of the day, I tell every one of my clients, the people that have keys are the people that listen to me.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to have you do anything that I wouldn't do or haven't done to buy a home or that any other client hasn't done. These are guidelines. I tell this a lot to clients. So I say, you can't hustle into a house. You hustle on the streets.
yeah, yeah. Because
You
it's
know,
gonna come out. Like be just upfront. We don't judge. It's like I don't care what your past, your credit. Like just give it to me so I can help you get to where you're trying to get to.
listen, at the end of the day, like I told one of my clients, she was embarrassed. I think her credit score was like a 440. And I said, listen, I filed bankruptcy at 20. So
Yeah,
I've seen a 400. I've seen, an 802. I said, this is life. Like
yeah,
now you realize the ramifications of your actions, and now it's time to change. You just
right.
make a pivot. Like, don't be upset about it, just fix it. She's like, I feel better. You really aren't judging. I said, I don't have time to judge. Like, I don't sit on a cloud omnipresent. Like, I have done some fucked up shit in my life.
Yeah.
I've cleaned my karma and I'm not trying to get it dirty. So listen, do you, boo? Like I had one client, she said, I just don't understand why I can't get pre-approved. Girl, you literally have 10 collection accounts for every cellular carrier across the country that you didn't pay.
Right, right, right.
What
Or
do
the
you
one
mean
that
you don't understand?
yeah. Or the one that gives you a bank statement with negative balance.
Listen, I had a client under contract. The underwriter called me and said, your client didn't file taxes. I said, yeah, he did. I sent it to, I uploaded them myself, right?
Yeah.
I know. No, you're not listening to me. I said, oh Lord, here we like, when when the underwriter gets that tone, you already know you're like, it's like your dad, your mom, you're like, you're so in trouble. She said, there are no transcripts. I said, I'm sorry. I don't think I heard you. She said, there are no transcripts, which means they did not file returns. I said, oh God. So I called the
Yeah.
client. I said, hey, just want to verify. Did you file those returns that you gave me? Oh, no, not yet. Those are what I expect to file.
Oh,
I
yeah,
said, so that's mortgage fraud. I
yeah,
need you to file the returns.
yes.
Is everybody going to require that? Sir,
Wow.
have a good day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this business is not for the faint of heart because some of the stuff that just comes out of people's mouths or happen, and you got to be resilient. Here's another one. Remember, if no one else tells you, I am on your side. I love that.
Thank
You say
you.
that a lot.
I say it almost every post. Um, don't want to cry. So there was a time in my life that was so dark and so without hope. And I felt so isolated. And maybe some of it was self-inflicted, but at the end of the day, when I came out of that whole post addictive, post, toxic relation, like all of that, right? When I started to come out of the devastation, right? I started to tell myself, I will never let anyone feel like that.
Right. Right. Because you've been there.
Because there's a quote that I read one day in the midst of all of this that said, suicide is a direct result of the loss of hope.
Right.
And I was sitting in my chair, very suicidal at the time, and I was planning, right? And I had already attempted a few times, like this is a whole thing, right?
Right.
But at the end of this read, it said, congratulations, you've lived an extra 15 minutes that you weren't counting on.
Wow. That's deep. That is deep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was it for me. So when I tell people, like when I speak, when I, do videos, whatever it is, when I say, you know, when I say that, it's from my heart. I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone.
Yeah. I love that. Then thank you for sharing that. So when it comes to borrowers, we just talked about one of the it's about don'ts. One don't is
Don't lie.
don't lie. uh, don't tell us you filed your taxes when you did. Don't have negative balances. Um, what would be another big one if someone's a first-time home buyer thinking about buying a home? What should definitely be happening that we haven't talked about that they should be thinking about?
I think the biggest thing, the two biggest things are don't think you can't become a homeowner because you can, and don't think you know better. That's it. It's literally that simple,
That simple.
right? No limiting beliefs, right? Because you
Uh,
can, and don't think you know better. Like, because how many times have you or I talked to somebody like, well, I heard, well, I read, well, my friend,
oh yeah, a lot. Because when you're buying a home, you're talking to everybody, and everybody's a professional. No nah NMLS number between them, but they all are experts.
listen, this is what I say. How many of those people live in a house,
Right,
right? It's usually not even half.
right.
And well, so my great grandmother bought it. Okay, that was in 19.
It's a different game. The game is a
My
lot different.
grandfather said, girl, that was in 1920 something. Like we are in 2025. What really catches me sometimes is when I'll get a listing agent. Well, I used to do loans. Girl, please stop. Sir, let me not be a misogynist. Sir, please
Right,
stop.
right, right.
Stop. There's a reason you don't do them anymore. Let's not have that conversation, right? Like, I am not here to talk
Oh
about your
man,
pre 2008 MLO days. I don't care. Not
your
one fuck given. Like, stop.
your gift is speaking truths. One more tip for a borrower. Talk to me about for a borrower who just bought their house, and all of a sudden they start getting these mailings, these snail mails. I spam, I call them.
Yes. So we had closings this week, and we go to as many as we can, and I always tell them, and the title agent usually says it, but if they don't, I'll say it and I'll always reiterate it. You're gonna get about 50 pieces of junk mail. It's gonna have bold lettering, it's gonna have your name, it might have my name, it could have the lender name. You're gonna look at it, you're gonna be panicked. There's nothing you need to pay for post-closing. There is nothing that is urgent post-closing. And if you can't figure it out, take a picture of it and send it to me.
Yeah, exactly. Great, great. Yeah, okay. Two items, and then I'm going to ask you one question.
Okay.
Number one, your shoe game is so strong. I don't even want to call you a sneakerhead. You're like a shoe horse, like a clothes horse. Is that fair? Would that be accurate? Because sneakerhead just thinks
I mean,
Nike, Keds. You're Gucci, you're Fendi, you're MTL. I mean, talk to me about that.
so it again, it happened by accident. I had a really difficult deal and I thought, I deserve a present. I'm all about reward. I'm a very reward driven person,
Yeah,
right?
as most of
And
us are.
so, yeah, so I went and bought me some Gucci loafers and I took a picture of them. I was like, this deal was blah, blah, blah. And I worked so hard, so I deserve this. And then the next closing, I was like, well, buy me another pair of shoes. I felt so good. And, and it's nothing when you're closing one or two every other month, like in the beginning of your career.
Yeah,
But then you
right.
start closing four, five, six deals, right? And then it's and again, it's a poverty mindset. Like it is literally a poverty mindset. Instead of me thinking, oh, the money's here, I need to be stacking.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking the money's here. Let me show these people I'm a success.
Right.
They may not think it, but they can't deny it if they see these shoes or this bag, right?
Right. Right.
And it's so stupid. It's such a bad mistake. Like I'm literally the Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie of Sex in the City in real life. My shoe closet is well worth $250,000. It is obscene.
Hey man,
No, you should
everybody has
be
their hobbies.
pointing a gun at my head. Like, when Bruce moved in, I gave him one of my closets. I have stuff in my closet. I have stuff in this closet here in this office. I have stuff in the hall closet. I have stuff in the kitchen cabinets. Like I have
Right.
stuff and stuff in the pantry. So things where when you're poor, things are a sign of success and prosperity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you don't realize, I think a lot of us as we come up, we don't realize when the switch has shifted and it's
Uh-huh.
like, I'm here.
Right. When
I
was the
don't
shift?
have to prove this.
When was the shift when you were able to say we can't work together, either a realtor or a client? Because when you start out, everything is like, oh, I gotta have this. When was that point?
I mean, it
With
it
you,
really,
Mr. Honesty, 100%. That probably happened pretty early.
I mean, like year one.
Oh, I'm just jealous. That's all. I'm just jealous.
But the thing is, people fire themselves before you have to,
Uh-huh.
right? In the beginning, like I sat down at a lunch with a husband and wife realtor team,
Uh-huh.
and he kept saying a non-clinical word for part of her anatomy. I'm not gonna
Oh,
say it on the podcast, right?
right,
I'm gonna
right,
keep it
right,
clean.
right,
And I was like, I'm floored,
right.
right? Like I have a mouth, but there's just like I'm also respectful. Like, and there's a time and a place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, and I was like, what? Okay. And then at the end of this lunch, they were like, well, you were so great. It is just so unfortunate that you're gay and we can't work with you.
Oh, please. Right.
When I tell you, my head must have spun like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. So
Wow.
me not being as cool as I am now and mature, I
At
said, well,
57,
listen,
you've mellowed.
I've mellowed. I said, well, listen, if I were straight and married, bet your ass I'd never say X, Y, and Z at the table next, not only next to my wife, but
Right,
during lunch. I said,
right.
so here's $40. Have free food on the fag. I left. I was done.
Oh,
My
boom.
friend runs out after me because it was the title. He said, what are you doing? I said, do you want some too? You-
It
Look,
ain't the time. It ain't the time.
go inside. Go try to,
Right. Right. It gets back to the respect thing, man.
yeah, it's back to respect. Like at the end of the day, I'm not worried how anybody else is living their life
Mhm.
behind closed doors.
Right.
I don't care how you live it in full pride. Like
Right.
if you standing 10 toes down on the way you live, then more power to you. I
Right.
have zero to say about it, right? And at the end of the day, like I just said, I'm ready to fire a client now. It's because he's trying to do too much and he's not listening. And you're not A, worth my license. B, that check is not going to be worth the stress you've already given me pre-contract.
Right. Yes. Amen.
Like if I want that kind of stress, I'll go make fries at the drive-in window.
Right.
Like and no
Yeah.
disrespect to that. Like I've
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
work fast food. You want to
Right.
be treated like crap? Go punch a cash register at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.